So in this video we're going to look at three things. One is how long it takes to charge a Tesla from 0 to 100%. Second is the cost of that from a Tesla supercharger. And the third is how much battery, what's the degradation of the particular battery over a period of time. Now the car that we're looking at, the car that we're referring to will be a Tesla Model X, and that's a 2.5-year-old Tesla Model X registered around November 2020. It has 44,000 miles on the clock, and we'll measure the degradation on that at the end of this video. But we're at the Tesla Service Centre and Sales Centre and the Supercharger at Newbridge, Edinburgh, where they have 16 V3 stalls. Now, although they're V3 stalls, the maximum charge I've managed to get from this site is 135 kilowatts, which is quite poor considering I was expecting 250 kilowatts. Now, it's certainly not because the stall was shared with another vehicle. I think it's to do with the fact that I'm using an adapter, because the Tesla Model X does not have a CCS connection in the UK, mainly because these older models only came with a Type 2 connector. So to get use of a V3 supercharger, you have to have an adapter, which I'll just show you shortly. So as we're approaching, you can see a number of people charging here, but none in this section. But bizarrely, someone is rocked up right next to me. But anyway, I think with the V3 supercharger, I don't think it makes any difference. But anyway, here we are. Let's get into the car. Long Range Plus was a 103 kilowatt battery, 98 kilowatt evidently, 98.5 kilowatt usable, and now we're down to 1 mile, which is below 1%, and the time is 1:23, and all we have to do is adjust the charge limit to 100%, and this is a version 2 supercharger. So let's see what kind of charge rate we can get up to. But my car doesn't have the CCS connection. It has it needs an adapter. So I don't know if that's going to make a difference or not, but we should reach 250 kilowatts maximum peak charging. Let's see if we can do that. If you bear with me, let's get started. So let's get into the car. There we go. Right, just popped out and plugged in, and what are we showing? So far we're up to 100 kilowatts. Oh my gosh, 119. Now in the Model S that we have, which is a 2015 model, the maximum that charges is 108 kilowatts at the moment. This one is surprisingly low. So this is showing 122 kilowatts so far, climbing very slowly. Time now is 13:25, so we've been charging for 1 minute exactly, but it's slowly rising up. I'll just pause the video here, and I'll get back to you when we're up to about 20-30 miles of charge. Right, so it's been exactly 1 hour and 20 minutes since we started charging, and the gauge says we are at 345 miles, but also on the same, in the binnacle it also says we've added on 348 miles, which obviously that can't be right, since we can't have added 348, we're sitting at 346 mile range. But anyway, so 1 hour 20 minutes in, our current charge rate is 15 kilowatts, which is obviously very poor, very slow, but that's because the battery is almost at its limit. 346 miles is the equivalent of, in terms of a percentage of the battery, is 99%. So we're very close to finishing off. It says another 5 minutes. I think that will rise to around 352, 353 miles, I hope. And I'll wait until then, because we've come this far, so we may as well wait another 5 or 10 minutes to see what the final gauge reading is. And then we'll go through, as I said earlier in the video, how much this cost, because we can just run through that on the main screen here. I think it says it here under service or software. It'll tell us here what the cost of the supercharging was, but we'll have a look at that in a moment. Now we're getting very close to the end here, and looking at the charge screen, it shows us at 349 miles added, or rather the range of 349 miles, but it says we've added 350 miles. But as I said, if someone can explain that to me, please do. Current session has cost us £37.73. It's still rising, of course, because we still have 1 or 2 more minutes to finish charging. So we'll wait till that comes to an end, and then we'll give you a final bill. We'll show you what the final bill is at the end, and then we'll go through the degradation, because as I said earlier, this car's initial projection was 371 miles, and we're down to 350 odds now, and the car has travelled, I think, 44,000 miles is the current odometer reading, and it's 2.5 years old. So give me a few minutes and I'll get back to you, and we'll restart the video just when the car has finished charging. So as I said earlier on, for those who don't know, this is an adapter to adapt a CCS2 into a Type 2 connection, and you have to get your car adapted for this. It costs about, I think it's £100, I think, from Tesla, and they give you the adapter and they update the software, and that way you can use V3 superchargers which only have one cable. So therefore definitely useful update to get, or an upgrade to get. So that's what this is, and now let's get back into the car and see what the final figures are. Right, we must be finished by now. It's now 1 hour 23 minutes since we started charging from 0. So with any luck we should be finished. Oh, it's still calculating. It's still calculating. We've got a range of 351 miles, which is quite interesting, because I expected, because it was being charged at a supercharger, it would give a higher range, but 351 miles is what I get from my 7 kilowatt charger at home. And I have another Tesla, and when we charge it at a supercharger we get a higher end range, and when we charge it at home we get a lower end range at 100%. And I was expecting the same for this, but that is obviously not the case. So we have a few more minutes to wait. We started charging this car at 1:23 p.m. and now it's 2:58 p.m. So an hour and an hour and 25 minutes that's been, and we're not quite at 100%. I'll just check that actually from the gauge, if you bear with me. Display and percentage, yeah, 99, still showing 99%. I'll just show you that again. There you go, 99% is still showing, and we put in 95 kilowatt hours of energy. So that's how much we've taken on board today, and we're still charging at a rate of 6 kilowatts, or 21 miles per hour. So we'll go back to the distance, and it shows a different display of how many miles we've added on rather than kilowatt hours. Right, so another few more minutes. I'll see you in a couple of minutes, and hopefully we'll have finished charging by then. So while we're waiting for the car to finally top up, I'll just show you this supercharger station at Newbridge, Edinburgh. It's on the outskirts of Edinburgh, near the M8 junction, right on the east. And I think there's 16 stalls here. Right next is of course, the Tesla service centre in Edinburgh. And I've been here several times, of course. Excellent service, there's no doubt about that. At this service centre, you hear some horror stories from other service centres further south, but this one certainly, I've had no complaints over the years. And they do deliveries and service, of course, here, and some body shop repairs as well. In that, what is that? In that cabin there. There you go. I think they do paint repairs and such there as well. But that's not seems to be open all the time. So that's the service centre in Edinburgh. Not much really here to see. In fact, there's nothing nearby apart from a petrol station, which is about another 300 metres walk from here. So that's where we are at the moment. And if you're wondering why I've just bought a second-hand Tesla Model X, they've actually stopped, or rather cancelled, all orders for new Model X's and Model S's in the UK and all right-hand drive markets. And we were given the option of either getting £2,000 off a new 3 or Y, or getting your deposit back. And that was after 2 years of waiting, so very disappointing, but that's the way Tesla are at the moment. That's their current policy. But as I said, I think that may change in the future, I don't know, but at the moment they're quite set in that decision that they're not going to reverse that. But let's get back into the car again and see if it's still calculating, and it still is. And now it's almost 3 minutes past 3. So that's 1 hour 40 minutes we've been charging here, and we're still not finished. The range still hasn't risen above 351. But as I said earlier on, you will not usually charge more than 80 or 90%, and that obviously takes considerably less time. The only reason we're doing 100% is we're just making this video and letting you show how long it would take to charge to 100%. But in reality, you would really do that overnight in the comfort of your own home rather than being stuck at a supercharger. Right, finally, we have reached 100% of range. Charging is complete. 252 miles of range, and we have added 351 miles to our car, and I'll just convert that into percentage to show you. That's 100% range. We've added 95 kilowatt hours, and that's taken 2 hours and 10 minutes to get there. Now, in reality, you're not going to charge 100% at a supercharger, so you're not going to wait here for 2 hours. To get to 50% range, it took roughly 25 minutes. And I'll go through the slides as I've taken them on the app to show you the range that's been achieved and the time taken there. So we'll do that after in a few seconds. Now, in terms of cost, this charging session has cost, to get to 100%, has cost £38.88. And I'll work out for you how much per kilowatt hour that is on the screen. Well, you'll see a caption on the screen at the bottom of the screen there. So it's taken, as I say, 2 hours 10 minutes, £38.88, which is about $50, I think. And in terms of degradation, when this car was new, the range, the EPA range, listed range was 371 miles. So it's now down to 352 miles, which is about 5.3% degradation in terms of range. Now, that's a rough estimate how much is degraded over time. And if you look at the mileage in the car, we'll just run through that just now. There we are, trips, there we go. 44,955 miles, so virtually 45,000 miles that is, and it's done and is degraded by 5.4%. Now I have a Model S, a 70D, and that's got 125,000 miles on it, and that's degraded by 7.5% over 7.5 years. So the first 50,000 miles is where you get the most degradation, and after that it does taper off. And this one is very much following the same pattern as the other vehicle that we have. So that's it for today. As I said, not for today, I've still to run through the slides. But before we get to the slides, please, if you've learned anything, please like and subscribe and share it. It does help, and that would be very much appreciated. So right, onto the slides now. Now the first slide shows that within 20 minutes we've gained 127 miles and the charge rate is 92 kilowatts and the battery is now 40% full. Now we started off at a charge rate of 138 kilowatts and is now within 20 minutes at 40% has dropped down to 92 kilowatts. On the second slide it shows within 30 minutes we've gained 185 miles, the battery is now 55% full and the charge rate has actually increased to 95 kilowatts. Now onto the third slide rather. 40 minutes have passed and we've gained 243 miles, that's 69% of the battery, and the charge rate is now dropped slightly to 82 kilowatts. And the fourth slide shows we've gained 316 miles, 90% of the battery, and the charge rate is now dropped to 39 kilowatts. Now the car says that we gained 95 kilowatt hours, but the stall says it has dispensed 99 kilowatt hours. Now that's what we've been charged for, 99 kilowatts. So there's been a 4 kilowatt loss in transmission. So that shows that there's a 95% efficiency in charging and there is a slight transmission loss. So I hope you've actually learnt something during this video, and if you have, please, as I said earlier on, like and subscribe and share it. And until the next one, thanks very much for watching.